Hi, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby. I'm the co-founder and COO at CoinGecko. A little bit about what we do. We are a leading crypto data aggregator. We track everything cryptocurrencies, the price, market cap, trading volume, and so on. One of the largest crypto data sites in the world. I'm very happy and honored to be given the opportunity to present at SCxSC today on a topic that is very interesting to me, which is on non-fungible tokens. I think it's very progressive that SC is taking this opportunity to invite me to talk about NFTs, which is something that has grown spectacularly rapidly this year in the crypto space. And I've got 15 minutes. It's going to be hard to try to explain what NFTs are all about, but I'll do my best to kind of present what NFTs are. So in simple terms, what are NFTs? NFTs are non-fungible tokens, which are basically unique digital assets on the blockchain. To really understand NFTs, I think it's important to kind of understand the concept of fungibility in the first place. What are fungible items? Fungible items are basically items that are interchangeable. So a good example is the fiat currency or the cash in your wallet. For example, my 10 ringgit note is practically the same as your 10 ringgit note or even two 5 ringgit notes. Despite minor differences such as serial numbers and issue dates, everyone considers them fungible because it represents the same amount in value and it helps facilitate our daily financial transactions. NFTs, on the other hand, are unique items. They are not interchangeable. A simple parallel of non-fungible items in our non-crypto, non-digital world includes things like Pokemon cards or baseball cards or Magic the Gathering cards. Each card is unique and they are not changeable with each other as they have unique characteristics. For those of you who are not into games or trading cards, like another way to think about non-fungible items in our physical world property or real estate. For example, if you come to a housing development, house number 1 and house number 2, even though they are both intermediate detached units next to each other, they're not exactly interchangeable. You can't just say, hey, let's swap houses and make glue with it. There are many unique characteristics to each property, making them non-fungible. So non-fungible tokens or NFTs are basically that, but represented on the blockchain, digital items. So yeah, as you can see, the art, trading cards, real estate, luxury items are examples in the real world. And NFTs are basically issued on the blockchain. Initially was issued primarily on Ethereum, but has now been issued on other blockchains such as Polygon, Wax, Solana, Tezos, and so on. So here's a table comparing fungible and non-fungible tokens. So the big difference between the two of them would be fungible tokens, fungible currencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum are interchangeable. The Bitcoin that I have and the Bitcoin that you have, they are interchangeable, just like the 10 ringgit note that we are talking about. Whereas NFTs are non-interchangeable. They are unique, as we said, and my card or my NFT could be very rare or compared to something that you have, which may be more common. So the big difference is that one is uniform, the other is unique. Bitcoin and Ethereum, they are tradable on exchanges. They are very similar to currencies or stocks. There's an order book that you can trade, such as on Nasdaq, NYSE or Bursa, and in Bitcoin or Ethereum's case, would be on tradable on exchanges like Luno, Tokenize, and so on. NFTs, on the other hand, are tradable on limited marketplaces. So the parallel in the traditional physical world would be things like eBay, Muda, and so on. In crypto space case, it will be OpenSea. The big other thing is Bitcoin and Ethereum are also divisible. So Bitcoin is divisible to 8 decimal places, as you can see, many zeros over here. And there can be a market that are allowing for better liquidity to exchange your tokens. NFTs, on the other hand, are not divisible. They can't be divided into parts, though there are people trying to work on trying to make them divisible, but that's a whole different topic altogether. They are therefore, because they're non-divisible, they're therefore illiquid and can't be sold instantaneously because you can't really build an order book for these items. So if you look at NFTs, and I guess there's many questions. So what are some examples of NFTs? There are many different kinds of NFTs. Broadly speaking, NFTs can be categorized into 8 different broad categories, namely art, music, collectibles, games, metaverse, sports, utility, and financial. Here's a chart of all the top NFTs that have been traded from non-fungible.com. So these are basically the top projects based on trading volume, and you will see that the majority of NFTs available in the market these days are mostly NFTs related to collectible, for example, CryptoPunk, art blocks is a generative art. So collectible and arts are the main NFTs in the market these days. There are a few metaverse projects like Decentraland, Somnium, CryptoVoxes, and these are and some gaming projects like Axie Infinity as well. So metaverse are interesting because you can kind of think of them as digital real estate. So you basically have property rights to digital virtual lands on the metaverse, on the internet. So yeah, I mean, the majority of NFTs these days are mostly collectible and art. Here's some popular NFTs in the collectibles categories. So the most popular one would be CryptoPunks, and you also have things Bored Ape, Yacht Club, and Mutant Apes, Meebits, and more recently Loot. The trading volume for a lot of these NFTs have gone up pretty significantly. For example, as of 29 September, the top 5 NFT projects did a total of 25,000 ETH in the past 7 days, or roughly 313 million ringgit in trading volume. That's quite a big amount, and the NFT sector which used to be a niche in the crypto space, is no longer a niche. The trading volume and the market cap, or the amount of money that is being used to trade all these NFTs have grown very, very significantly, especially in 2021. To give you some context on how crazy some of these NFTs have traded, let's just take a look at an example of CryptoPunks, which is probably one of the earliest NFTs issued on Ethereum, and how much it's traded these days. So I'm introducing a new concept over here called the floor price, which is basically the price for the cheapest NFT that you can buy for the most common NFT. And the cheapest CryptoPunk available is basically 107.5 ETH, or in ringgit terms is 1.3 million ringgit. So there are people out there in the world spending 1.3 million ringgit just to buy a picture of one of these avatar, just to add it onto their Twitter or Facebook. And it's pretty crazy thinking about it, how someone would spend more than 1 million ringgit to buy an NFT when this money could be used to buy a house, for example. I mean, you can easily buy a house, more than a big house, for 1.3 million ringgit. And this is the cheapest CryptoPunk that you can find. There are a lot of punks that are rarer. For example, over here, there's 2 pictures. This is an alien punk, which there's no price over here, but actually there is price. It's sold for 4,200 ETH in March 2021. So I don't even know how much that in ringgit, but it's insane amount. And this is an ape. So the alien and ape punks are very rare and are sold for a very high price. The same can be said for the Bored Ape. The cheapest ape you can buy is roughly 39 ETH these days. We Friends, and also Pudgy Penguins, which are basically cute penguin characters, which each have their own characteristics. Some are rarer or common, and they go about for 2.75 ETH, or roughly 33,000 ringgit, or cost of a car, basically, just to get a profile picture. So yeah, NFTs are no longer small talk. They are big amount. They trade for large amounts these days. And a lot of the NFT marketplaces, you will see that some of the I mentioned, most of the NFTs are traded on OpenSea, but here are some other NFT marketplaces. These are all mostly on ETH, except for Hik at Nung, which is a Tezos marketplace, which are basically a marketplace that allows people to trade NFTs issued on the Tezos blockchain. So yeah, Ethereum, most NFTs are still issued on Ethereum, and most of the trading volume occurs on OpenSea at this point in time. OpenSea mainly facilitates secondary sales, where some of the others like Async Art and Super Rare facilitate some of the more primary transactions as well. So artists issuing NFTs for the first time. A short example slide on basically the use cases of NFTs, on why would anybody want to get an NFT, for example. I mean, some people who collect art, we've all heard about the $69 million art sale by Beeper sometime early this year. That's just a collectible item. But I mean, zooming into a gaming use case, right? So Axie Infinity is a play to earn game that has become very popular, especially in the Philippines. What it does is that these three axes over here basically are represented as NFTs. Axie borrow many gameplay elements from Pokemon, and basically to play this game, you need to first buy the in-game items, which are basically these three Axie characters, and then you basically go out and compete with another team, which also has three Axie characters as NFTs, and try to win against your opponent, because when you win, you sort of collect you basically get paid to play this game, and you get to farm this token called the Smooth Love Potion SLP tokens, which can be sold for extra money. And what this means, what happened is this has become a phenomenon. So instead of you playing game for free, and you got to basically pay game developers to buy items, and you don't even own the rights to these in-game items. Axie Infinity is changing the gaming industry by allowing you to have actual property rights for the game. So when you buy or you invest into this game, you collect all these items. You actually have these items which you can then resell to other players, or you can actually breed these Axies as well and kind of grow your Axies and resell them in the marketplace. Another example is Uniswap. Uniswap is a decentralized exchange which launched its third iteration in 5th of May 2021. Basically, this goes into DeFi, decentralized finance, and basically in Uniswap V2, liquidity providers, when they provide liquidity to this exchange, they will be given an ERC20 fungible token. But in Uniswap V3, basically users or liquidity providers can decide the range at which they would like to provide liquidity. And because everybody can decide where, at what point they would like to provide liquidity, every person's is given a unique token to represent their ownership in this liquidity pool. So an NFT is used to represent the ownership that you have in the entire Uniswap liquidity pool. And that's kind of interesting use case for NFTs, which are basically used to represent ownership rights to this liquidity pool on Uniswap. So it's a pretty complex topic, I would say, not exactly the easiest thing to understand compared to some of the other examples like games or art. There are a lot of resources over here, so I kind of left them here. I guess we are kind of publishing our NFT book as well in November 2021. But if there's one article that you would like to go out and find out more about NFT from this talk, I guess you can kind of search for OpenSea's NFT Bible. Just go on Google and search NFT Bible from OpenSea, and you will find a link, and you can kind of read a write-up from one of the founders of OpenSea and how they think about NFTs, some of the common NFTs, and how NFTs evaluated, for example. So that will be a good resource. Some of the other marketplaces are listed here: OpenSea, Rarible, Async. If you want to look at how certain NFTs are rarer than the rest, you can kind of go to Rarity Tools or Crypto Slam to kind of get some stats on some of these NFTs. They are rare because a lot of these NFT projects, they have a fixed amount issued. So for example, they could be 10,000 punks, and some punks are rarer than the rest. So that's kind of, you can think of collecting punks as similar to collecting rare stamps. There are X number of rare stamps that were issued in, like, for example, in the 1950s, and you want to collect them because there's only so many of these things, and some are in higher quality than the rest, and there may be defects in some of these stamps or money, and that's why it gets rarer and higher value for some of these NFTs. So yeah, for conclusion, I guess you may be wondering, why would anybody want to trade NFTs? NFTs are illiquid. There are several different categories encompassing the 8 different categories I talk about: art, music, collectibles, gaming, metaverse, sports, utility, and financial. I think the NFT space at this point in time is very, very early. We are kind of just scratching the tip of the iceberg, if you may, on NFTs, and there will be a lot of innovations taking place in NFTs. NFTs to me are sort of the gateway drug to crypto, because crypto is pretty hard concept. Bitcoin, Ethereum is a pretty hard concept for the average guy to kind of understand. But if you kind of embed NFTs into non-crypto apps, like the average Joe will sort of understand it. And we can see this year how a lot of artists and people from the creative sector of the economy have kind of participated very actively with the growth of NFTs. I guess NFTs are also interesting because they provide property rights on the digital space that we live in. And also, I guess why NFTs are gaining more prominence, why people are willing to spend so much money on some of these profile pictures and all. I guess the conclusion that I have over here is that the lines between the virtual and physical worlds are increasingly being blurred, and there may be software identities, cultures, and communities behind each virtual world which provide intangible social value. So it used to be the case that, I mean, we collect so many things in our physical world, but as we spend increasingly more time in the virtual world, it makes sense that people would like to collect items which are unique and rare, and to express themselves more profoundly in a unique manner. And NFTs basically allow people, digital natives, the young guys who basically spend all their time on the internet, to really show this the unique way online. So yeah, that's kind of what I have prepared for the presentation on what are NFTs. And yeah, thank you very much for your time listening to me today.